Hey everybody, Dr. T here. Today we're going to be discussing the law enforcement response to domestic violence. It is difficult to imagine, with all the resources available, that DV is still occurring in the world. One of the issues that can lead to victimization in the first place is the law enforcement response. The reason is that more police officers are harmed during DV calls than any other type of call. Many of the officers attributed the deaths to lack of resources or backup, location of the call, and the use of technology due to the lack of service in some areas. Each of these issues can increase an already possibly violent situation and be harmful to the victim. To lessen the effects of officer harm, many states have statutes that give the option to arrest or not to arrest in DV cases. There is a difference between preferred, discretionary, or mandatory arrest. A statutory shall arrest does not give law enforcement discretion on whether or not to arrest an aggressor. It requires that law enforcement arrest the aggressor. However, not being able to use discretion in an arrest may actually cause victims to not ask for help when needed. Some victims believe that their partner's arrest may actually make the situation worse. In many cases, dual arrests are made where both the abuser and the victim may be arrested, which can also cause the victim to not call law enforcement for assistance in the future. Preferred or presumptive arrest policies simply guide the officer's discretion in making an arrest. The policy will explain the advantages of the arrest, but the actual act is left entirely up to the officer responding to the DV call. According to Kenneth Culp Davis, a legal scholar known as the father of administrative law, the police are among the most important policymakers of our entire society, and they make far more discretionary determinations in individual cases than does any other class of administrators. Arguments for police discretion state that they employ a philosophy of justice tempered with mercy. It was found that offenders' risk for arrest may be the cause of them committing or not committing the crime again. The stronger the statute, the more likely the DV call will end in arrest. However, many states have wording that could be interpreted in different ways by different officers, thus leading to confusion on whether an arrest should be made. Not only can the confusion lead to officer harm, but it can also cause a victim to not reach out for assistance if they do not believe the offender will be arrested. This confusion could contribute to the question of the authority that law enforcement officers have to arrest in these type of cases. It was the hope that by showing the differences between the statutes, it would strengthen the laws to protect the victims of DV and whether mandatory arrest policies are in the best interest of the victim. Some beliefs are that mandatory arrest is helpful as it takes the decision away from the victim and protects the victim from having to face their abuser. Other opinions show that these policies could further harm the victims, and still others show that the victims themselves could be arrested as an abuser. In one case, a woman was protecting herself and her child and scratched the male during an altercation, and she was the one that was arrested because there was physical evidence to show assault. In another case, the woman slapped the man in order to escape from him and was told that she could have been arrested for the slap. Now, this is not to say that law enforcement should not be called if you are in an abusive situation. Showing that there is a continuation of a behavior with an abuser by having a report made can make it easier to prosecute them for the abuse. Each situation is different, but policymakers are now saying an offense in a domestic context makes it more serious because domestic abuse is rarely a one-off incident. It is likely to become increasingly frequent and more serious the longer it continues and may result in death. It represents a violation of trust that normally exists between people in an intimate or family relationship. While I know that calling the police may not always be the safest option for a victim, there could be circumstances in which it might be necessary. For example, if the victim is in immediate physical danger, keep in mind that if at any point you personally feel in danger or unsafe, you have every right to contact police for yourself. Your personal safety and well being are very important.
If you or someone you know is in an abusive situation, call the National Helpline at 1-800-799-SAFE or text START to 88788. Everyone deserves a healthy relationship.